Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Bigger Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well today. Hope you guys are conquesting yourselves, conquesting things around you under God's purposes. Welcome back with Bigger Warriors 2 channel. Thank you guys for all your feedback. Thank you for comments. A lot of great comments we've had. A couple of things I want to kind of focus on. I saw them yesterday a little bit, and I'll have to kind of go back to them a little bit as well. We talked about them because I'm kind of way behind on my shout outs, but I'll go back to them a little bit. We had one person who is driving, got in an accident when listening, especially my screaming. Don't be doing this, Warriors, when I'm actually screaming. So I don't want you guys to get an accident. Don't do that. Please don't do that. And secondly, one person was asking about manifesting and trying to get away from negative thoughts. And it's important to realize that you do have some control. The devil is going to control you to some extent, but you have some control. He's going to try to control you through temptations, things like that. The choice you have is a choice to decide. And you have to go ahead and kind of think to yourself and find things to block your mind, put your mind in different types of directions, goals, setting, things like that. Put your mind at a point where you're focusing on something other than the temptation, the lust, those type of things. And then once again, if you do start thinking that way, start thinking about women in terms of your mother, your sister, your daughter, things like that, and gets away from thinking about them as objects and think about them as people, and you'd be fine. All right, let's do some shout outs. It'll be a little bit longer today, but I want to kind of cover those couple things. And we'll go back to them when I do the shout outs and talk about those more directly. Michael 4, thank you, my friend. Celtic Warrior, thank you. Oleg, as usual, thank you. Petermakwuah, look like I'm 40, 45. Thank you, my friend. I just turned 63 in June, and I appreciate those comments. It must mean that some of the stuff is working that we're talking about, and that's great. God's Gladiators, thank you, my friend. Knowledge Harvester, as usual. Agustin March, 30 days. Keep it up, my friend. Keep it up. You're going to see great benefits as time goes on. Yisrael Yehuddah, thank you. As usual, Planet World, thank you. DJV 94022, thank you. Alvin, thank you. Giodude, thank you. Don Van Life Investing, thank you, my friend. Good luck on your marathon. I probably already had that, but good luck. I hope you did well. Aman Verma, thank you. Alan M, thank you. Celtic Warrior, again, thank you. Bad Bway Music, thank you. Alan Tanner, thank you. Bjsheppard, thank you. EA7, thank you. Hidden Gems 3977. Alfonso Peraz, twice, thank you. Masterrks 4768. Edge is not technically a relapse. It's not a relapse, but you want to stay away from that because it obviously creates a temptation as you get closer. So you want to kind of stay away. The more you can go into what I call monk mode, the better off you're going to be. But it takes time, and each one of us is on a different journey and step at a time. Matt Monroe, easier with each journey. Yes, it does get easier every time. Even if you release, the next time you go back, you're building a habit more and more. It's a habit of lifestyle. Blingcheese 514 and OISCLove 015, OISCLove 15, looking good at 63. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Great comments. I appreciate those comments, guys. I'm just, like I said, I'm here to try to kind of tell you my experiences, and hopefully you guys can use some of this to kind of better things in your life as well, and get to become a high value male and do the things that that you need to do to kind of get to God's conquest and conquesting things around you. All right, so let's talk about JoJo Aces had a comment and was asking about, can wounds be healed from retention? So let's kind of go back and talk about this a little bit. So as we focus on this idea, we're focusing on the idea of becoming the highest value male. The reason, like I said, I do this is because I'm not doing it for monetary reasons at all. I do it mainly because I had a lot of bad experiences with things, and I kind of want to share what I think, at least in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the way to become that high value male that God wanted you to become. And a lot of it is through your self-control, developing yourself, developing your muscles, developing your spirit, developing your intellect. All those things need to kind of work together to the point where God is using you for his purposes. So you don't have time to sit and think about lustful thoughts and those type of things. Now, as a result of that, if God has created you in an image and God has created you to kind of do his purpose, then it would make sense, logically, that if he wanted you to do that, he would give you all the necessary, equipment as far as your body goes, the mind goes, things you have to be able to accomplish that purpose. So if you think of terms that way, you can think in terms that all the things you have within yourself are things that, naturally is going to help you not only, become very healthy, but when you do get sick, it's not going to be a large sickness. Maybe it's going to be a cough. Maybe it's going to be something that, it just kind of blows over. And even if you get cut or some kind of wound or something, it will heal very quickly. And I think that to answer then JoJo's question here, the basic premise is that God will give you things to heal yourself. And that's why we talk about all this stuff about health. And obviously it's important, and I believe a lot in, back in the days of Mary Baker Eddy and, Christian Science, and the combination of, obviously God is the most important healer, but then you also need things in science that God uses as tools to help with that as well. But the science, to me, God is not the end all. And therefore, I think so many people depend on the science, depend on the pills, depend on all this other kind of stuff, that they forget about the holistic nature of the body. The body itself can heal. Now, I'll give you some examples in my kind of situation. In 1998 is when I started all the Kendler's book, Fountain of Youth book, and I used all the exercises that I did, and I have not been sick. I missed, I think, 2 days of work since 1998, if I remember right. So I've not been sick. Now, I've had sniffles, I've had, probably a sore throat. Those type of things I've had, but those things quickly go away. And now, in the last 4 years, and I think I'm over around 1,500 days or something like that with no FAP and releasing, those type of things, I've even seen an increase in my health. And you guys obviously can see the difference in things that I'm doing as time goes on as well. But as far as recovery and health goes, it can make a huge difference. And to answer JoJo's question, there's a huge difference in being in semen retention. Because what you're doing is holding your nutrients inside. All those things will be fighting, diseases that you have inside you, whether it's calcium, we talked about, glucose, magnesium, potassium, high protein, zinc, dopamine, lecithin, B12, folate, selenium, copper, chlorine. There's lots of things inside of you that are there for a reason, and God gives you a reason for those. This is why you can create a child with with your semen with another woman, because you have that impetus. You're the one giving that, and you're, even though the woman is giving birth to it, you're the one that's creating the situation. You're creating the situation because of that powerful sperm that you have. So therefore, if you think about it in all those terms, it makes perfect sense that if you're keeping your nutrients in, then you would be at the best peak health you can become. And so there's been lots of cases over especially the last 4 years now, that I've seen when I've gone totally monk mode, where basically I have, healed very quickly. Maybe I got a cut on my hands working in the yard or something like that, and it healed very quickly, right? I also, before a lot of this started, this is way back when, I had a lot of eczema back in my 30s and early 40s. And all that slowly started going away once I started doing Kendler's Fountain of Youth. And then especially, it all went away when I started doing total semen retention. And if you do that, and this is why I think it's important to not only do the exercises, but remember that the key to me is the retention. The key is retention. That starts everything, the ball rolling. because you're basically going ahead and saying, this is me, this is the strongest me I can become, and I'm going to fight off any kind of disease. I'm going to fight off anything that I see in front of me that's going to stop me from achieving God's purposes, the purpose I have, and to help mankind, protect my families, my towns, my cities, things like that, and provide as well, and be that high value male that we need to have more of in the society. I just see too many weak people, beta male people that I call them, who basically are just too weak mentally. And a lot of it's because they don't have the strength. And you wonder, again, I haven't documented proof, but you wonder how many of these people have had all these sexual behaviors and have wasted themselves away. And this is why they're upset and nervous. And the only reason I say that is because I had 47 years of it. So I know the signs when I see it from other people. And I see a lot of people running out there who are zombies and running out there, and they're totally depleted of all their energy, right? Obviously, you have the vampire suckers, but you also have the zombies who are not really looking for energy. They've lost their energy. It's almost like they're dead man walking, because they're releasing all the time, and they don't really realize that other people can sense that and see that. This is why they're not as attractive, and this is why women are attracted to you if you're keeping your energy, because you are so rare. We talk about the 1%. It's probably 1% of the people in the world doing this kind of stuff, and it's going to be more and more. Once people understand the difference, they're going to start realizing this is the problem. Now, it's going to probably help more later generations, which is another reason why I'm doing this. But in the long run, what's going to happen is that you're going to see a lot of these people regret that they didn't go back and know this information. So hopefully you guys can share this with other people. I share it with other people all the time. Some people look at me, like a crazy person. Some people think about it. Some people can reason with it and think about it. And logically, they're not going to believe all the doctors a lot of times that tell you got to be releasing 4 or 5 times a day, things like that. So I think, the important part is realizing you have a tremendous amount of nutrients, vitamins, energy within your body. And that is for your health. So therefore, I think when you look at those type of things, you can see then that if you have any sort of illness, or you have any sort of thing that happens to you, not your cause, or maybe Satan, like he did with Job, in the Bible, he basically kind of put a lot of those things in front of it. You're not going to have as much stress. You're not going to have as much anxiety, because you know that God is with you. But on top of that, God is with you because you're keeping everything inside of you. And you're keeping all of God's gifts inside of you. You're not just exploring them out, on looking at pictures and looking at, and having intercourse with women for a short-term fleeting type of pleasure. You could ruin your whole life in, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that basically because you're releasing. And every time you release, you're getting closer to death. And the reason we say that, guys, is you go back to the species we're talking about, all species, right? I mean, there's all you got to do is look at the evidence of the other species to kind of know that human beings are the same way. If you look at the praying mantis, and they're copulating, they're giving their seed, and then they get their head bit off, right? And so there's not that much of a difference. An analogy when you talk about this, the male is giving so much that the male has to be careful they're not going to kill themselves. And this is why that besides procreation, you do not release, in my opinion. You do not release. You transmute it, and you build it through yourself through exercises that we've talked about before. So this is why your health then becomes very crucial. And the reason I think this is also happening is I think there's forces around us, and I think Satan is pushing these, encouraging these forces to make men weak. Now, what happens when men are weak? Men are weak, and then then you can easily take men over, whether it's by armies, countries, whatever it might be. If men become weak, then it's easy to kind of take over and rule those areas, because the men are spending their time releasing themselves, and they don't realize how strong they really are. It's almost like you talk about the Bug's Life movie, which is one of the ones I thought was really ironic in looking at it. All the ants had no idea how much power they had until they all started working together and they realized they have superpower. We're the same way. We have superpower But we don't realize that because we're releasing all day and we're told this is the way to do it. This is to have sex as much as you want to. And in the meantime, you're having all these people, lost souls all over the place. I see them all the time. Lost souls, have no idea what they're doing. And they think this is all a natural type of thing. This is the now fad. This is the now thing. I mean, you've got to, you really have to kind of think to yourself, do you think this is all new? No, of course not. I got to go back as thousands of years. People were doing the same behaviors, right? They may have not brought it to people's attentions or called it the same thing, but it's all the same type of thing. The deviance has been around. Human beings can only do so many things, right? And they've been doing these things for thousands of years. And this is what happens then when these dynasties fall apart, they explode from within. And what happens is they all these lascivious behaviors. That's why in the Roman Empire, with Caligula and all the people that, Nero, all these people who had no problem with all the lascivious and deviant behaviors, mass orgies and things like that. So do you think this is something that's happening new? It doesn't happen new. It happened in Egypt all all over the place. All through the ages, you've seen human nature, because human nature, has this idea and they can be manipulated. I mean, this is a story of Adam and Eve. People can be manipulated. If they don't have a strong faith in God, they can be manipulated. They can be persuaded. And all of a sudden now they're doing things that they end up regretting in the long run. But now it's kind of too late for a lot of those people in many regards, and especially if they don't come to the Lord and saved by the Lord, then they're basically not thinking about, they're not gonna, it's not gonna end well for them as well. So when you talk about this, going back to JoJo's, comments again, and thank you, JoJo, for, talking about this. The idea, guys, is that your energy is supposed to keep you strong. And you want to keep your energy to keep building. It's a lot of some guys have been talking about, you have an overabundance of energy. Your energy is endless, and it becomes stronger and stronger. You guys in your 20s and teens and 20s and 30s, I admire you guys. You guys have tons of energy that you have no idea about. But once you start doing this and you're able to control it to some level, man, the world is a whole different place. And that's what I'm experiencing now, even at 63. It's a whole different type of world for me. No, not anxiety. I don't get sick at all. Like I said, I've been sick twice in it's 1998. We're talking about almost 25, 26 years. Missed work maybe one of those 2 days. I can't remember both of my, I can't remember, it was 2005 or something like that. But the thing is that once you start hitting this mode, especially through all the craziness we had with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, that nothing happened, and actually I was getting healthier by the minute, which is the strangest thing about it, right? And if you think about it, why would that happen? Well, it's because your internal body is getting stronger, and obviously it takes a little while. So you guys who are not getting results right away, be patient. Be patient. I mean, after, like, for example, in my case, after 47 years, it takes time. It took me a couple of years to really kind of start seeing some of the benefits that I see now. And so you have to continue doing it. Now, we've talked about some of the dangers. People talk about prostate and all that kind of stuff. And there's research starting to show there is not a link between these two, that people thought before. And all you got to do is look at people like Tesla and look at Newton, all these people who were celibate their whole life. You don't see them dying of all these kind of prostate types of cancers and things like that. Again, I think when you start listening to people that you think are credible, but may not be as credible as you think, then you have to kind of look for other sources. And this is why I think the internet and all these other things are kind of becoming more and more prevalent, because you're getting a variety of ideas. And certainly just don't listen to me as well. Listen to all people talk about this, and you're going to see. But the biggest thing is experiences, my friend, experiences. So warriors, experience it. Go through and try it for 60 days, try it for 9 days, and I think you'll be amazed on the differences you feel. And because of that, that should spur you on to other things. And this is why it spurred me on then to look at my skin more, because I had all those eczema issues, then looking at my whole physical body and my diet. And so I started taking cold showers, starting working out better, and I've lost about 75 pounds. And so all these type of things occurred, but because of that one thing first, giving me hope and faith in God that, I can turn things around. And I did, and from that level. And obviously the exercises help, but it was more of a mental thing as well, you know, we talked about before. So going back to the final question, JoJo is talking about this again, talking about healing. It will heal you faster, in my opinion. I don't have documented proof of that, but I know from my experiences, that's what happens. So, all right, Joe, I hope that it's helped you, my friend. Please keep sending questions if you have them. The next time I think we're going to talk about body language and SR. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you recover? This is from Ahmad. Can you recover if you are depleted? Yes, you can, and we're going to talk about that the next time we talk. We'll probably do it tomorrow if we can. Until then, my friend, I'll always leave you guys with two things. First, every day is a new day to a great warrior, so make it a great day. And the second thing is, obviously, we have to keep battling and battling. So I always say, battle on! Have a great day, my friends. God bless you guys, each and every one of you. Bye. Take care.